two partners. Okay. Now, we're going to have a lot of people doing this, so be very careful about how you throw and don't go charging in. Okay, but now we're going to talk about part of the geometry of this. When you start adding attackers, you have different lines of attack. Okay. In my considered opinion, that 3 attackers is the hardest. Some people believe 4. Any more than 4, one of the attackers is already in the way of somebody else. So you add more, it just gets easier to smash. You don't even have to think about it. You grab somebody and you throw them and they hit somebody because there's so many attackers. 3, they can stay out of each other's way much more easily. So you can really get all 3 people arriving at the same time. So your goal in your movement in a randori. Randori is about creating time. Okay? There's 2 ways to create time for yourself. One is to go faster than the attackers, and that's just great if you happen to have 3 slow attackers and you happen to be nimble. Okay, we've got a couple guys in the dojo who are extremely fast in their movement, and their default setting is to try and outspeed the attackers. That will work for a short period of time, but if somebody lets the randori go on for a while, you are going to hit the wall unless you're out there doing wind sprints every day, all day training for this. Okay, it's inefficient. Okay, and if you happen to have 3 nimble attackers, you can't outspeed them. They're as fast as you are. So the other thing is to slow them down. So everybody you throw, everybody you touch should, and you don't even have to throw them necessarily, but everybody you touch should interfere with one of the other attackers. So your goal is to get the attackers to cross the lines. So if they're both coming here, those 2 lines are going to intersect at this spot. What if I go? Then he has to back off to save the bacon. So usually if he's coming here and he sees this motion, and this is part of what we do to have good randoris, we have to train the ukes. Because you've got to learn to read this stuff to do it safely, because I am purposely going to put her down the pipeline. It is uke's job to get his ass out of the way. And if you have an uke who's just bad at reading this, people can get hurt. Okay? So when I move here and he sees this, he already knows what is likely to happen. And so he starts to break. And stay. Now there's 2 new lines. So then Catherine's coming again, and she has to break. Okay? And now I can move to the outside, and he had to break. And I can actually move around that person and force this person to put a curve instead of a line into their attack, which takes more and more time. You see how I'm starting to shape things? Okay? You have to train your eye to see it. Okay? So this one's very slow, and since most of you have not done a drill like this before, what we're going to do is what I call a stop action. Everybody's going to take a step at a time. So you ready? 1 step at a time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you fall. 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. You see, we're trying to just, you notice none of them are arriving where they wanted to arrive. I was already gone when they got there. And other than when they got fairly far apart, when they get fairly far apart, you can actually create time for yourself by creating distance. So when they're far apart, I'll typically throw one that way, and throw one that way, because then it's going to take them a long time to get back to where I'm in between them. Okay? So they don't have to crash into each other all the time. But when they're closer together, which they will be because they're converging on you, then you make sure that they're interfering with each other. Somebody's either going at you, so you have to cut off your attack a bit, put a curve into it, or you drop them in place, and this guy, in order to get at you, has to go around one way or another. It's kind of like ice hockey, where the guy takes the puck in behind the net, and then he sits there and waits to see which way they chase him. And when they chase him this way, they go out that way. We actually will do that in the Randori. Okay? So, 2 partners, that speed. Maybe slower. Okay? I'm comfortable at that speed. Maybe you want to go slower. The person doing it can tell the ukes how fast he wants them to go. In other words, I was calling out the count. You can call out the count for your partners if you want. Okay?